Ayo, and what is up, gang? Thank you so much for joining me here once again tonight on the channel for our official Monday Night Raw review. And to be honest with you, there's nothing much to really talk about, but we will talk about it nonetheless right here and right now on the one and only, newest, fastest rising podcast in all of YouTube, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do this. Let's get this done, because Raw. Well.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, let's get this over with, because Monday Night Raw tonight was fucking dreadful. 3 okay matches, 1 decent promo does not make an entire show great. So if you're sitting there marking out over everything because of what happened at the end of tonight, you know, that was cool. It was different. It was entertaining. And we'll get to the end of the show. But all in all, what the hell was Monday Night Raw tonight? Garbage. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. Welcome to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Thank you guys for joining us. Monday Night Raw, like I said, come on, man. They gotta do better than this. They gotta do better than this. First of all, happy Labor Day to everybody. You know, I hope you enjoyed yourself while you was at home and maybe fired up that grill for the last time. Maybe you enjoyed some nice hot dogs or a nice cheeseburger. I love a good cheeseburger. Today we went with steaks. You know, I grilled myself some nice delicious steak. We had some potatoes and some zucchini and a nice salad, right? You know what you do on a Labor Day, you fire it up, you do a big one last time, right? Make it all nice and delicious, you eat it up. Beautiful, right? Then you go to your couch, you turn on your TV, you get set for Monday Night Raw. A little while into it, you start to feel a little sick, you know? Like, maybe you ate a little too much. You start to blame everything else. You're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have put so many onions on my steak. You know, maybe I put too many grilled onions and it's upsetting me. Or maybe I shouldn't have used so much butter on my potatoes. You know, I'm a little sensitive to butter. Maybe I shouldn't have ate such a huge fucking steak. You know, because I'm going to be 40 in a couple of weeks and I can't eat like I used to. You start to try to make all these excuses. Perhaps maybe I shouldn't have ate such a large piece of icebox cake almost immediately following dinner this evening. But I did these things nonetheless. And I start to try to blame these things for my current discomfort in my stomach while I'm sitting on the couch. But no! It's not any of those things. It's Monday Night Raw. Making me sick to my stomach as always. Monday Night Raw kicks off with Jason Jordan versus John Cena. With very, very little to establish it. They did make mention of Kurt Angle, you know, putting out that challenge and Cena coming out doing his ruthless aggression shit, you know. And they want to compare this Jason Jordan situation to that. Fine, whatever, you can try as hard as you like. I'm not buying in to Jason Jordan right now. And it has absolutely nothing to do with his wrestling ability, because they put on a very, very good 20-minute match with Jason Jordan hanging in there with the 16-time world champion very, very well, executing a couple of great Northern Lights suplexes. He looked good in there. Cena looked good against him. There was some good chain wrestling going on. It was a decent match. Would have been made better if they would have given Jordan the win by disqualification, by maybe perhaps having Roman come out during the match, not interfering, not touching, but giving a momentary distraction enough for maybe Jordan to get the win. You know, you're trying your hardest to push this fucking kid and to get him over, and you're just feeding him to Cena, essentially, and he lost. Yes, Cena lost to Angle, but why not do something different? You want everybody to view Jason Jordan as something special, why not do that? Why not do that? No. We get the same old story, same old song and dance. Cena wins, and then Roman comes out. And then they want to just do more of the same that they did last week. Sure, what they said was interesting. You know, Roman has the charisma of a turd. And no matter what he says, he just can't get it out. He can't get it out. He's got no oomph. You know, Wrestling 101. Take your personality and turn it up to 100, and that's your character. It's almost like he takes his personality and turns it to minus 10. Because he doesn't deliver anything with any emotion at all. It just comes out like he's remembering his lines. Oh, Cena, you are the one that is the cheap, fake-ass bitch. You know? Like, come on. Put some oomph in your oomph. I don't even know what that means, but that's what he's got to do. Come on. There was nothing. It was just blank and rehearsed, and last week's was much better. Even though he flubbed it last week, at least there was a little bit of anger. He put a little bit of bass in his voice. It could have been better, sure, but today was definitely worse for Roman. And Cena, he's going to do what he does. He had one nice little line where he put over The Miz, which I thought was fantastic. He talked about how Jason Jordan and Chad Gable and guys like The Miz have to scratch and claw for everything, and he's given everything and does nothing with it. It's just more of the same. They're trying to cash in on this hype that they generated last week, whether it was completely scripted, whether it was partly scripted, whatever. They captured a little bit of magic in there last week, but still nobody gives a shit, because at the end of the day, it's John Cena versus Roman Reigns. And who the fuck cares? So they tried to do it again, and it was a lot less impactful to me. All for them both to tell each other they don't respect each other. Cena came off as genuine. Roman, as I said, did not. Who cares? The Bar. Sheamus and Cesaro are calling themselves The Bar. I mean, they've been proclaiming themselves to be The Bar, so I guess it makes logical sense. If you're going to give the tag team a name, let's call them The Bar. I don't like it, but let's move on. They have a match tonight against Heath Slater and Rhino, who I was unaware were even still employed on the main roster of Monday Night Raw. Truthfully and honestly, I still thought they were back on SmackDown. I forgot these guys were even part of the show. But here's our floundering tag team division, and we get a very easy win for The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, over Slater and Rhino and his freaking kids. Who cares? The most interesting and probably best match of the night goes to The Miz, oddly enough, in his one-on-one match for the Intercontinental Championship versus Jeff Hardy, which I fully expected the Extreme Enigma to walk away with the Intercontinental title tonight. I thought they were going to pull the trigger on it, have themselves a good babyface IC champ to start throwing heels at, and really start to establish that title again, get it over as a fighting championship or whatever, or just get it off The Miz, because it's been relegated to Miz TV for far too long. They haven't been giving The Miz any good matches, so I expected the change. They did not do that, however, as The Miz would hold on and just barely squeak by Jeff Hardy and get the win here, which was fantastic. It was a great match. A wonderful showing for The Miz. An absolutely, not star-making, but a reassuring performance by Jeff Hardy. The man can still do everything we know he's capable of. Sure, we've seen it in the tag team division. I mean, the Hardy Boys are the Hardy Boys, but when he's out there by himself, there's just a difference in him, and it's refreshing to see that he could still get there. And to go there with The Miz and for them to have the match that they had was absolutely fucking magical, because Jeff Hardy does what you know he does. He pulled out all the stops in this one. He tried very hard to get that 5th Intercontinental Championship. Matt Hardy and the Miz Taraj would be sent away from ringside, and when Jeff Hardy just looked like he had the advantage and he was about to hit that Swanton bomb, Maurice, who was not ejected from ringside, went over and told the Miz, move, get out of the way, he's gonna hit that thing. And that was just enough for The Miz to be able to get out of the way in time, end up executing a skull-crushing finale. 1, 2, 3, The Miz is still our Intercontinental Champion, and I'm almost glad, Because as much as I want to see Jeff Hardy versus Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship at some point, I think that would be better suited later down the line, maybe at a bigger pay-per-view of some sort. And you have to get Balor out of this ridiculous feud with Bray Wyatt and start to establish him as a better single superstar. And we will get to that in just a minute. Because before that happens, we had Enzo Amore and 5 more goons from the Cruiserweight Classic, the Cruiserweight division rather, come out. I got the Mae Young Classic in my head, obviously. But I'm tired of these 6-man Cruiserweight matches just to get as many Cruiserweights on the show as you can. And then you waste about 5 minutes of everybody's time for Enzo to talk about absolutely nothing. For him to say absolutely nothing. For him to repeat himself about 3 times. Call Graham Metallic some hot cheese. You know? And calling everybody stupid names. Calling Drew Gulak Captain Underpants as if that's supposed to be so... Ooh. Who the fuck cares? This was useless. This was a waste of time. I thought the whole reason we were sending Enzo to 205 Live was to get him away from Vince McMahon and the creative team on Raw, but that does not seem to be the case. He's generated enough of a reaction down there that they believe he's going to get this division over now, and he is the focal point, I guess. He's the mouthpiece at the very least, but everything that he said tonight was just... I would have rather had a cheese grater raped over my ears, because it was just... It felt about the same. That's what I could imagine. Useless. Who cares? The only interesting thing about this whole thing is Enzo is starting to cheat to win. Which, if you don't watch 205 Live, which I don't, you don't know that, which made his whole opening spiel very confusing. Why is he talking about fucking cheating? What is he talking about? I guess only 205 Live heads knew. And that was not very many, because nobody knew what the fuck he was talking about. By the time he was done, I had no idea what he just said. And then we had to watch this fucking match. Then Enzo hits the guy in the eye, pokes him in the eye. Very uncharacteristic of a Enzo Amore babyface character. Gets the win. And then would be informed by Neville after the match that Kurt Angle has sanctioned yet another fatal 5-way. This is the year of the multi-man match, and it's getting nauseating. How fucking lazy can you be that you just keep going to the well over and over and over again for the same thing? I know it's the Cruiserweights and you don't give a shit, but try to be creative. 6-man tag matches and fatal 5-ways every fucking week. Ridiculous. And this will be an elimination 5-way, as if that makes it any better, to see who earns a shot at Neville's Cruiserweight Championship. Fucking great. Let's move on, because I could care less. Just like I can care less about what was happening here. Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor again. Why? Like I said previously, I thought this was over when the Demon beat the Eater of Worlds at SummerSlam. And that's where it should have ended, and both of these men should have went their separate ways. Right now, these were two of my favorite personas in all of wrestling. Rewind this show about 1 year ago, and I would be all over Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor. But at this point, I'm over it. And we've gone and done everything we could do. So now he beat him as a demon, and now he's going to take this opportunity to prove he doesn't need the demon to beat him? Is that what we're doing? Why? I don't care. It didn't make any sense. And I don't want to see it. That was the big swerve. Oh, Bray Wyatt wants another match. But he says he can't be the demon. That's the little added caveat. Who cares? It's the same guy. Paint or no paint. Stop acting like it's a different person. Doesn't make it any different. It's just going to be more of the same. And I'm over it. Just like I'm over the women's division right now as well. This whole segment was absolutely pointless. Alexa Bliss teaming up with Sasha Banks. Because that's what we like to do. Again, over and over. Repetitive booking. Over and over. Last week we had Cena and Reigns. This week we're going to take rivals, Sasha and Alexa. We're going to team them up. And we're going to put them against Nia Jax and Emma. Another team that makes no sense. You got 3 heels and 1 babyface in this match. You got Emma being all crazy. You got Nia Jax, who did what? Like, what was the point? I don't understand why this tag team match had to happen. There was nothing at stake. There was no reason for it. You had very, very little tension between the two girls, Sasha and Alexa. Their little promo before the tag team match was better than everything that I saw during the match. Because it seemed like it got heated. Sasha got in Alexa's face. And it was intense. For a moment. Just a moment. This whole thing just didn't fucking matter. Who cares? Cesaro and Sheamus were back on the show again to interfere in a match with Ambrose and Rollins, the Shield, versus Luke Gallows and Anderson, the Club. A match that shouldn't even be happening because the Club doesn't mean shit anymore. And if they were built up properly, this is a match that could have been fucking great and could have sold a lot of pay-per-views and made a lot of money. But they didn't opt that route. They opted to make Gallows and Anderson a couple of meatballs. And you got Ambrose and Rollins, who are over as fuck and are the World Tag Team Champions of Raw right now. What do you think's going to happen? And then you got The Bar hanging out outside. Didn't we see yous all already? We didn't need another segment to further this tag team storyline. It was already done earlier this evening. Waste. All for Rollins and Ambrose to squash the Club. Great. Next. I'm over it. Best thing that happened all night long was a match that I wasn't looking forward to in the slightest bit. Especially being that they put it in a steel cage. Remember a time and a place where a steel cage actually meant something? Do you remember those days? Do you remember a time and a place where a steel cage was brought in to blow off a heated and heavy rivalry? One that has gotten so out of hand, not because of outside interference, but because of the intensity of both competitors, that you have to put it inside a cage. And now we're getting Braun Strowman versus The Big Show in a steel cage on Monday Night Raw. No build. Nothing leading to it. Just an announcement. This is going to happen. Watch it. That is the biggest flaw with this whole thing. If I'm being honest, I want to say that this main event and this match was the best I have seen The Big Show in years. And if this is in fact his send-off match, I would be alright with it. And if it's not, I would fight to make it be the last time we see him in active competition on Monday Night Raw. That's exactly what my agenda would be. If I was The Big Show, I'd be like, listen, that was great. I'm not going to top that moment. It'll be a memorable way to go out. Let's start the retirement right now. Not to be mean and to get him off the show, but because much like The Undertaker leaving with the hat and everything in the ring, that would be a beautiful way for The Big Show to cap off his career. And it would mirror the way he entered the WWE as it is. His St. Valentine's Day Massacre debut, where he came up from the ring and threw Stone Cold Steve Austin through the cage, opening the cage from its hinges and allowing Austin to win the match by falling out to the floor. And now in this situation, you have a very similar scenario where The Big Show will be going out the way he came in. It would just be a great way to wrap this whole thing up. A lot of teases for the ring to break. Why establish that it's been doubly enforced if you're just going to tease the ring breaking for the whole thing? I'm fine with the fact that it didn't break. It didn't need to break. The ring stayed intact, and it was great. It was a very good match. It was not the clusterfuck I expected. The Big Show went up to the top a few times. We saw him go for a gigantic elbow drop for the first time in God knows how long, and he looked great. And Braun Strowman came out looking like the monster among men that he is. The spot at the end, after the match was already over, and Strowman threw the Big Show through the steel cage, opening the door and having the show laid out on the outside, draped across the steel. magical. Absolutely great. I wish it was more hyped. I wish it was more meaningful because him and the Big Show have had an actual rivalry that, gave some depth to, that they gave some meat behind the story, and that they used their creative minds to come up with something that was, in fact, actually creative. But instead, we get the lazy nonsense that we see every friggin' time we tune in on Monday Night Raw. So let's edit this show for a minute. Cut this fucking show down to 1 hour and you had an awesome show. We would have had 20 minutes, Jason Jordan versus Cena. Based on match quality alone, would have been a great opening way to start this 1 hour of wrestling. You throw in the Intercontinental Championship match in the middle, and then you fucking end it off with that Braun Strowman, Big Show, Steel Cage match. That was Monday Night Raw. Literally, the whole other 2 hours could have been done without. We didn't need all that Rollins and Ambrose shit. We didn't especially need it twice in the same night. It's the only storyline that has any traction. That doesn't mean you double it up and saturate the show with it. You're supposed to give us something and then leave it. It's actually lost its luster since they've become a team, if you ask me. Rollins and Ambrose were much better with this is he, isn't he type of dynamic going on, being forced into tag team situations and prevailing despite their conflict. That was the magic. Now that they're on this same page, even though an Ambrose turn is on the horizon and everybody's expecting it, it just doesn't have it for me. And maybe it's because the opponents on the other end of the ring have been the same two since they started this thing, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to progress. I don't know. It just... Raw was a down for me, as a whole. Like I said at the start of the broadcast, a few good segments, a couple of good matches, 2 good promos, doesn't make for a good show. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all I'm going to talk about it. Like I said, this Raw sucked, so we're not going to really go much further than that. If you want to see and hear more, we have got tons and tons of Mae Young Classic coverage all over this channel, from the preview of the whole thing to the review of the first round, and my reviews of episode 5 and 6 are now live on the channel. If you missed those, don't forget to go back and check them out. I go off in episode 6 about what I feel is the biggest problem that has surfaced since the beginning of this Mae Young Classic, which started off really great, but I'm starting to get little icky feelings about it. And if you want to know why that is, check out the review of episode 6, most specifically, to see what I'm talking about. Other than that, we got last week's review, much in the same. We got Raw review, SmackDown review. We have a story about The Undertaker's possible return that everybody's talking about, and how I would do it, which would be the only way to do it, so go check that one out. As well as, don't forget to smash that thumbs up, smack it with your favorite finishing move, and just make sure that it's hit for me if you enjoyed the show today. Don't forget to subscribe if you are not already a subscriber. Share this video with your friends. Urge them to become a subscriber and become part of the Sledgehammer Club and the family that we are growing here each and every day, more and more. And I have you guys to thank for that. Let me know what you guys thought about this piece of shit Monday Night Raw. Use that comment section down below. Fire it up. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you want me to talk about. And don't forget to check out, while you're down there, Clutch Chairs. The link is in the description below. Just click it. Don't cost you nothing except maybe a couple of seconds. Click the link, see the page, go, ooh, look at the chairs, and then bye. With the little X in the corner. That's all I need. It'll do fucking wonders for this channel. Thank you guys so much. I am Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. That is going to do it, and we are out of here. And we will see you next time, right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Have a good night. I'm tired. Let's go.